ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and welcome to Reentry Monday. Breakfast Bankroll live from Cape Cod with a balmy, 32 degrees, 28 degrees, bouncing back and forth today. And Scotty live from Tampa as we talk about what happened over the weekend. Joe Ryan, pulled from the WBC USA lineup for Ryan Yarbrough. And if I remember correctly, and I know Scotty will have this answer, I swear he started with his Tampa Bay Rays, unless I get the wrong Yarbrough here. But we're going to talk strategies. We're going to talk MLB as we're a couple weeks, three weeks and a handful of days from Wednesday night opening day, Yankees and Giants, and then that's a Wednesday night, then Thursday, the full schedule there. But first and foremost, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It is free. I promise you, this community second to none. We're going to talk about a ticket Matt Chappelle sent me. This is a big boy ticket too, a $3,100 investment, 4-legged parlay, one leg already in. If they went all for $253,000 comes to this person. And interesting, I'll say that. But let's bring him in, Mr. Scotty Webb. What's up, champ?
Hey, man. It's, Monday, and time to be a little more excited. We got real baseball on Wednesday night, so that's only 2 days away. And then we got, a handful of games on Thursday, and then it all opens up on Friday. So we got real baseball. So a lot of interesting things to talk about with real baseball compared to what's going on right now.
Yeah, and I'm going to start. It's Reentry Monday. I'm going to have some fun to start with everyone here as everyone's starting to pile in on social media. Go follow us at East Coast Sports Investors or jump on over to YouTube. At East Coast Sports Investors and follow us there. It's a fun ticket that Matt Chappelle sent me. And there's not a lot we can do initially. I just want to show the people you can go see this ticket live with yourself at wagerwire.com/marketplace. This ticket and a bunch of others are up there. And I'm drawing a brain cramp here, Scotty, so bear with me for 1 second here. Here we go. Share screen. Windows. Look at that. Like I know what I'm doing, Scotty. I will.
Like riding a bike, Jeff.
Yes, exactly. And I'm going to, now, if I can just, it's Monday, guys. Bear with me here. Okay, unless it's it. There we go. All right. So initially, this ticket here, a 4-legged parlay, the $3,100 investment. He had Indiana in college football as the national champs. Bingo, he's in. The next leg on this is the Michigan Wolverines to reach the Final Four, which they are now currently minus 115 to do so. I think right now, pound for pound, the three best teams in the country are Arizona, Michigan, and Duke. Then I think there's a little drop below, and you can add UConn, you can add Florida and Houston. That's just my take right now. But right now, Michigan minus 115 to make the Final Four. If you don't have that in your portfolio, go get that one, please. And then the next leg is the Pistons to win the conference championship. Now there's two other teams now fighting with them. I think that'll be the Knicks and the Celtics, who are playing great ball, and the potential return to Jason Tatum in the next couple of weeks. And then the final leg, which in December looked pretty damn good, is the Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup, and they're currently at plus 280 here. The ticket value right now, Scotty, is $8,509. So he's already showing profit. 2 weeks from yesterday, the brackets will be announced. So then Michigan should have a number one seed, so you can plot that way. So you got a ways to go. April 8th, that Monday, is the championship, but you just need to get them to the Final Four. So anyways, there's no baseball involved in any of this. I'm just going to play a game like we always do here with you. This is your ticket. There's nothing you really can do right now. You got to follow this path to Michigan. Thoughts initially on this ticket, Scotty, and just play along with what you think this person's doing right now.
Well, I think he's got a lot of influx stuff there. So what I mean by that is, the NCAA tournament is 68 teams, and he's got these guys. He's got to make the Final Four, right?
Final Four.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that Michigan's not the team that can do that. I mean, certainly. Just as you just described, they're one of the three best teams that, who knows who's going to win. But I think my thoughts have been about college basketball over the last couple of years, that the cream of the crop has been better than everybody. And I'm not so sure the cream of the crop isn't, 10 teams this year that can at least fight out certain things. So as that doesn't lead me to believe that a number one seed type team where you're going to get all four number one seeds to make the Final Four. So I'm not so sure that I would count that as a almost security blanket kind of, well, I'm going to get two of these. The Pistons on the other side, they're a younger team trying to figure out how to win for the first time. And they're going to play some teams with the Knicks, and they're going to play some teams with, the Boston there that have pedigree, that have been in the playoffs. So I'm not so sure I would even rely on that bet. And certainly now you're running into a problem with Colorado, right? So it's not that the teams in the West, aren't good teams, but at the same time you say that, you've got to figure out what's going on in the NHL in terms of. There's only like 20 games left. So how good are these teams, and where are they going to be? And there's nothing to sit there that says Colorado's going to be right there. So my opinion would be is if he's got this on the marketplace and somebody offers him, whatever amount of money is, I'd take the money, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to sell this ticket. And he waited 3,100. Man, if I could make $1,000, $1,500, $2,000. Now, if he's sitting there saying it's worth $8,000 and somebody's going to give him $8,000, I'd take that in a heartbeat, because the reality is any one of those three, certainly some are maybe stronger than others, but in my mind, any one of those three is a loser.
Yeah, and again, usually the team that wins or cuts the nets has that one shining moment, has that one game, whether it's the first game of the tournament, whether it's a Sweet 16, Elite 8. But again, they don't need Michigan to cut the nets. So when we get the brackets, you can kind of see who will that team be? Who could they potentially face that will give them that battle? I mean, right now, today, I think Michigan to make the Final Four is his strongest leg of the three remaining. I personally think Detroit is a year away. It takes, and especially in the NBA, it takes you that year. Look at the Knicks last year. They were the team. Giannis was out. Tatum was out against the Knicks. He gets hurt. the Knicks was that team. They lose because of Halliburton and the Pacers. I think when the dust settles this year in the East, I think it will be the Knicks unless Tatum comes back, doesn't mess up the flow of the Celtics, and the Celtics shock the world, and they hoist in the East there. And then Colorado, again, November, December, one loss regulation. They were the team to beat. They're leaking oil right now. And it's kind of interesting, Scotty. They play the Los Angeles Kings tonight, and they're minus 160. Well, there's an auto play. The Los Angeles Kings fired their coach over the weekend. So the auto play first game is always to bet the team that fired the coach. You know, you kind of now the whole team's on alert. We just got our coach fired. Oh, I better be on my best behavior, and we better show them because everyone's job's on the line there. So I just thought this was a fun way. Everyone, head on over to wagertalk.com/marketplace and take a look at this ticket and all the others there, and you'll have some good fun with that. I promise you there. Let me just do this, remove and stop sharing, and we can get back up to here. I talked on the lead in Joe Ryan was supposed to start about 10 days ago against the Red Sox, 15 minutes before the start, scratch back issues, now pulled from the WBC. Yarbrough from the Yankees added. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he start with you on the Rays?
Yeah. He's a veteran pitcher at this point. He's a soft tosser. He'll give you a start if you need one, and he can be that cleanup guy that comes in a game where they're behind by 30, or he can be that guy that hey, the pitcher got hurt, whatever. I need to put him in, and he's a long man. You know, he can go 2, 3, 4 innings. He's going to throw 88 miles an hour. You know, he's not going to do anything crazy. He's a change of pace guy, and certainly a guy who's going to require command and control to get you out. Certainly not going to be like anybody else on their team.
Before we're going to break down, you're going to do some betting strategies in the WBC. It starts Wednesday, so myself and Scott will be here all week. We're going to talk WBC moves to the forefront, any breaking news in the MLB, of course. Scotty, we've been doing some talking on the American League. I wanted to go over to the National League for a minute because when we started early this year talking baseball, NL East, we were looking for that bounce back from a healthy Braves team. I think the Phillies, with the uncertainties of Wheeler, maybe some regression there, getting a little older. The Mets lose Alonso, they lose Diaz. The talk on the streets, the fan base upset. What the hell are you doing? It was a perfect spot for the Braves. Well, injuries, and injuries. That follows the Braves here. Acuna having a good off season. Looks healthy. Looks like he's ready to run. But the pitching staff, Strider made his first start, on Saturday, 93, 90-ish. 93, I think he topped out at 94. But again,
93.1 average for. I got the Braves pulled up right here. 93.
Yeah. So my thoughts here, Scotty, is, and I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. The Mets are plus 165, the Phillies plus 190, the Braves plus 190. I was one of those guys that had Braves every which way, and I got their dartboards, the confetti, they're everywhere but at the window to cash last year. But as I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, but just on paper right now, this Mets team looks like the team to beat in the NL East.
I agree. Now, I don't think. I guess the way I would say this is that I think everybody rules the Phillies out way too fast. That's number one. Number two, I think that the Mets pitching is going to be way better than they were. So I like what the Mets have. I'm not I'm not a guy that comes in and is going to jump on board right away, in a sense that a lot of these teams, when you go and change the dynamic of the team structure as much as the Mets did, it takes a little while to have team concepts in place. So they got a whole brand new infield. I mean, they got a new first baseman, new second baseman, new shortstop, and new third baseman. So when you think about that lineup and the construction of the lineup, and then now they all got to play together. The one thing I hear about the Mets is, well, they were all shortstops. Right? Every one of them was a shortstop, and now they're playing all these other positions. And I get it. Look, shortstops are very athletic, and they can do a lot defensively because they were shortstops, and but in terms of, I was listening to a Bo Bichette conversation where these guys have glove sizes when they play certain positions, and his glove size as a shortstop was, I think it was a 10. Means 10 inches is what it means, and now he went to an 11. Okay, well, at third base, you got to figure out how the glove feels different. It's a bigger glove. And you have different movements and different things, and the communication between the third baseman and the shortstop on who gets some of these little slow choppers in front of the shortstop. The third baseman's got to go cut it off and then throw it over, right? So there's a lot in play in terms of how these guys are going to adjust and do different things. Simeon's going to play second base. We'll see what happens with this team and how it develops, and what does Lindor look like with a broken hamate bone coming back, and go look up his numbers. Lindor is not a fast starter. He's a slow starting hitter. So who's going to pick up that slack? Pete Alonso used to do that all the time. Well, what kind of season is Soto going to have? To be honest, I think Soto is going to be really good. But whatever, it doesn't matter. It's what can they do as a team? Well, think about it. They got great players, so we'll see how that goes. But I think Peralta at the top makes everybody slot better. They didn't have an ace pitcher. I'm not telling you Peralta is either, but at the same time, he's used to that because that's what he did with Milwaukee. So he's used to facing these guys that are ace pitchers. He's going to not be in those out of realm areas. And then they start slotting him. And look, this kid Nolan McLean, he's going to be that kid. He's the real deal, guys. He's not like some aftermath. He's going to be a pitcher that helps this team. So I like what the Mets have done, and I think that when I look at the Mets, there's certainly a lot of question marks about camaraderie and getting together. And I'm not convinced they got a good manager yet. So I don't know what all that's going to look like, right? But when you think about them, then I think about the Braves. Well, the Braves are in a spot where I don't know really how good the Braves are. It was thought that the Braves had this killer offense. They haven't had a killer offense other than the 1 year when they went to the World Series, right? They and all those guys were hitting, and they were like hitting unbelievably well hitting. That we had breakouts from the guy at third base, and Ozzie Albies was an all-star kind of player, and Acuna was an MVP kind of guy, and the guy at first base hits 50 home runs. They had clutch hitting from D'Arnaud behind the plate, if you remember, all of that stuff. Ozuna and they had Soler, and man, they were doing all those things correct, and just excelled at hitting. They've never done it since. So I'm not sure that those players are actually can they get there? Sure, I think they can all play that way. But will they? I don't know the answer to that. The third baseman's coming back off of injury. You've got Acuna, who's going to be full season this year, and he's going to be good. But their whole deal is going to come down to pitching, and you think about, okay, well, Sale's pretty good, and I get that Sale's pretty good, but they lost Schwellenbach, and Schwellenbach was I don't want to say he was every bit of Sale, but he was good. They're having Strider come back. Well, don't forget, Strider threw 23 games last year. He made starts last year. He was terrible. He couldn't get his velocity back, and he was a 4 earned run average, not 2 earned run average. But I mean, his stuff was not very good. And Ronaldo Lopez, who was a guy they're counting on, he missed after his first start. He missed every other game, so he's coming back this year. Waldrop, who I thought was going to be a good fill-in kid, he's gone. He's hurt. So you've got a lot of problems here with the Braves pitching. And here's the worst part. I chart every one of these games for these guys in terms of the starting pitchers. And, if it's a minor league guy who's not going to make the team, I don't chart that guy. But I do chart where they're at. And for the Braves, they still got Carlos Carrasco hanging around. By the way, he's made 2 starts already for them, and their ramp up, right? So March, the end of March, these guys need to be able to throw 90 pitches. So the Braves are taking it awfully slow. The guy who's thrown the most pitches in one outing, Grant Holmes, the last time he pitched, threw 46 pitches. But at 46 pitches, here's a note. Grant Holmes threw 94.5 miles an hour last year. He was 93.5 this year. Anytime you see a velocity drop, that's a problem. Now, I will say that Grant Holmes is going to have, I don't know how many more starts, 2-3 more starts before, he gets his run up. And the intensity level in which these guys are pitching at is just go out and get my work in. That's where they are. But there's a common theme here. Grant Holmes is 94.5, 93.3. Reynaldo Lopez threw right before he did, and this is Reynaldo Lopez's second start. The first time he threw, here's what happened. He threw 32 pitches the first time out. Reynaldo Lopez. He was 95.6 miles an hour before he got hurt last year. What he's throwing right now, 91.5. 4 miles an hour slower. That was first start. Second start, which was just 2 days ago, he threw 42 pitches, 95 miles an hour. He's down to 92. So he's 3 miles an hour off. And the worst part is, so I look at that, but I also look at spin rate. I look at vertical movement, and I look at horizontal movement. His pitches aren't moving any more than they were before. And the spin rate for him, he's more than 100 revolutions off. That's not a good sign. So then you start to think about, well, what did Strider do? Well, Strider, we mentioned, he was 93.1. Well, he was 95.5 last year. He's 2.5 miles an hour off. And that's not a good sign. And he's minus 88 on the spin rate. So he's not triple digits, but minus 88 is still not good. So I don't know where they're going to turn. If these guys can't pitch, what are you going to do? Throw Bryce Elder out there every single time? I mean, come on. So then you got to go and say, all right, well, we talked about Zach Wheeler and the Phillies and some issues maybe with the Phillies. And if I switch my charts now over to the Phillies, and go Phillies. Hold on, I gotta get there. Phillies, blah 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 blah. There they are. So if I go Phillies, it's interesting to me that the Phillies haven't really had their starters played yet in spring training games. So the difference here is sometimes these guys work a lot on the backfields and they're not in spring training games. They're still getting their work in, but I can't see it. So you have a guy like Christopher Sanchez, and he's in the top 5 of all Major League Baseball pitchers. So that's better than anybody the Mets have. That's better than anybody the Braves have. So he's the best pitcher of all 3 teams, and 95.4 with his velocity last year. His first time in spring training, 32 pitches, 95 miles an hour. His spin rate's in a plus number, so he's got more spin on it than he did last year. So he's doing very good. That's not an issue. And then you have Aaron Nola, and he's the question mark in my mind of this staff. Last year was 91.9. So far, his first outing was 91.7. So he's not dropped anything. His horizontal break was 2 inches better than last year. So his ball moved more. So I think depending upon how it goes for him, and we'll see, because here's another good thing about the WBC. He's pitching for Team Israel in the WBC. And the one difference about pitching in the WBC, and I shouldn't say one difference, there's a lot of differences, but in what I'm doing, charting these pitches, is these guys are just working on stuff in spring training. They're out there going, I need to throw 35, 45 pitches. I want to make sure I throw X number of fastballs, X number of curveballs, X number of sliders. I'm trying to get movement. I'm trying to do this, whatever. I want my velocity to be X, all that stuff. That's all they're doing. Well, when they pitch in the WBC, they're going out there with a different intensity, and they're going out there to get people out. They're trying to make pitches. So they're going to do different things, and then my report should show better, truer accuracy of what they're really about, because we can see it faster. They're going to try to get outs. They're going to try to get hitters out. So they're going to throw the ball at a certain intensity level that makes a difference. And I think that matters. So we'll see what that looks like. But Andrew Painter was really good yesterday. The kid threw 96.8 yesterday. So I think if you start to think about where that falls into play, look, they lost Ranger Suarez, but Ranger Suarez is a soft tossing curveball, change up, mix it up kind of guy. You got Zach Wheeler, who's going to be, he'll pitch in April. He's going to pitch towards the back end of April, but he's going to pitch in April. So they're not going to miss him for very long. I haven't seen his stuff, but when it comes out, I guarantee you his stuff's going to be similar to what it has been. So you're going to have Sanchez. You're going to have Wheeler. If they got to use Taiwan Walker, that's not very good. But you got Painter. You got Nola. That's a team that I think people are giving up on too soon. I also think you're going to have Schwarber and Harper come off Team USA, all kind of jacked up and ready to run the season. I think you're going to see that the center field who's going to play center field for them is going to give them some youth that they're missing. I think obviously if they would have got Bo Bichette, I would have put Philadelphia ahead of the Mets. But they didn't get Bo Bichette. So we'll have to see what that looks like for Bohm this year. Maybe Bohm comes back and has a better season. So if I think people wrote them off too fast. I'm not so sure they're not better than the Braves. So we'll see what that looks like. It's numbers and modeling and all that stuff. It's Mets, Braves, Phillies. But in terms of games, it's like the Mets win 89 games or 90 games. The Braves win 88 and 89 games, and the Phillies win 86, 87 games. They're like from the top to the bottom, 2 games separate of each other. So it's really hard, excuse me, to sit there and go, well, one team's subordinate so far better than the other ones because they're not. They're going to beat each other up.
Tomorrow we'll talk NL Central, or Wednesday when we come back. We haven't decided if we'll be here tomorrow or Wednesday. It's kind of funny, Scotty, when we started our baseball chatter in the NL Central, the Pirates were plus 1,000. And then 2-3 weeks later, the Pirates were plus 800. Well, right now on DraftKings, Cubs plus 115, Brewers plus 275. Reds are now plus 425, Pirates plus 600, and you can get your St. Louis Cardinals at plus 2,500. But my point is, this whole time, the Pirates have been taking money, and what it's done, I think we saw the Reds as low as plus 375 at 350, maybe even 325 in some shops. Now they but to 425. My eyes will not be on the Cubs. My eyes will not be on the Brewers. I thought the sexy pick last year as well was the Reds. We know they got pitch, and we're worried about their offense. You know, I'm a big Tito fan there. But again, the Pirates are plus 1,000 6 weeks ago looked great. The Pirates plus 800 3 weeks ago looked great. Well, I think people are listening to the show, watching and listening. Down to plus 600, Scotty.
Yeah, I just want to caution everybody about the Pirates. The Pirates are good. Don't get me wrong. The Pirates have done so many things this offseason that's changed the dynamic of their offense. And we already knew they could pitch. So the issue really comes down to is how ready are they? Are they ready to take 2 steps forward, or is it just one? So when you're waiting to bet the Pirates, the season wins that I saw in the Pirates are 78.5. I think they'll win more than that. The number that I have them at right now is 81. Okay. So that's, 162 games, 81. That's a 500 team. That's good because, the Pirates have been, a 420 type team for I don't know how long. So they've made significant improvements in their team. I don't think it's time to write off the Brewers, but the Brewers aren't as good. They obviously lost Freddie Peralta. They're going to have pitching problems. I don't know what they're going to get out of the kid that throws 100 miles an hour, Mezanowski or whatever. I don't know what they're going to get out of him in terms of length and all of that. I don't know what it's going to look like, how many starts he makes, and I don't know what they're going to get out of Woodruff. The guy that their new number one. He's coming back from being hurt again. So I don't know how all that's going to play out for them. I do know that they have a good manager, and I do know that they have team concepts that will allow them to win games that maybe they shouldn't have won. And they have a really good bullpen. So when you think about what the Brewers are, they're a team that's just going to be fighting every game. And then you look at kind of where the Cubs are. And the Cubs are a star-driven team. They're a great team. They just, in my opinion, right? They got Edward Cabrera from the Marlins, and everybody went, "Oh my God, they're going to win the World Series." Edward Cabrera is going to pitch 4th or 5th on this team, and he's going to look amazing because all the Cubs pitchers, they go out and throw 90, 93 miles an hour, and he's going to throw 97, 98. He's going to look like, oh my God, this is what we needed. But he's not like the icing on the cake. They got guys in the offense that can hit, so more so than all the other teams. So they're just star-driven, big loaded. They're a team that's just better than the rest of them. The Cardinals are, obviously rebuilding, and they got big problems on the mound. They got I don't know who they're going to have pitch for them, but they're Liberator, right? He's their number one guy. He's going to match up to every ace out there, and he's going to be minus 200, plus 200 every time he goes out there. That's terrible. So it's not going to be good for them. And then you got the Reds. So the Reds can pitch at every station. They don't have a closer, but they got guys that can come in and throw 97, 98 miles an hour at every level on the bullpen. And then they got this guy named May that can come in and throw 100. So it depends on where they are and what they're doing and how the Reds go. And then what do they do personnel-wise to develop these kids and be better offensive players? Because if they're gonna get better, they need to hit. And I know they got Eugenio Suarez, but he's going to strike out or hit a home run. So it's what they do in front of him and what Sal does at first base. I forget his last name, but what Sal does at first base. That guy is the guy.
Freedom?
No, Sal, rookie. His name is
yes.
This kid. Look, this kid gets up and on his wall is a sign that he made that says ROY. It says Rookie of the Year. This is the kid that you want to hook your wagon to if you're the Reds. He's a guy that wants to carry the team. He's a guy that wants to hit. He wants to be the best player that he can possibly be. Stewart, there you go, Sal Stewart. This kid is going to be something else. Now, if he can be that and he can hit 35 home runs and drive in 100, the Reds are going to be good because they're going to score some runs. I don't know if that's going to be the case. It's an interesting division in a sense that the Cubs are better than everybody else, but the Reds have better pitching than any team in that division, starting pitching anyway. They just need to get some offense going, and if they can, I think they can be competitive. And to be honest, if they can pitch, they'll be better than the Pirates. But we'll see how it kind of all plays out and see what that looks like. Because, again, my numbers show the Cubs like 88 wins, and then Milwaukee 83 wins, and Pirates 81 wins, and Reds 79 wins. So there's a gap between the Cubs and the rest of them, but there's not really too big a gap between Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, and Cincinnati.
Give me 1 second here.
Yeah. But I think overall, like when we talk about WBC, for example, some of these guys are over there. Ellie Dela Cruz is playing for Team Dominican, and you've got guys that you're going to see on some of these other teams. And, as they're out there and whatever, just pay attention to the effort level, because this is not going to be spring training games. These are going to be dynamic, meaningful, impactful games. Now, Chechkia against, I don't know, South Korea, that might not be one of the most dynamic games you're ever going to watch. But at the same time, you watch, say, Team USA play Mexico. You watch that stadium and those fans and that game and the effort level that these guys put in. That's going to be a big deal. So you're going to see true effort, true commitment, and trying to win games, and obviously trying to get guys out.
You wanted to talk a few minutes about the betting, the some of the rules, and just so everyone was caught up to speed. Again, we go live. They start Wednesday night. Wednesday night,
10 o'clock. You have the game is Chechkia. No, it's Chinese Taipei in Australia, Wednesday night. Now, Thursday morning, which is Wednesday, March 4th at 10 o'clock. Now, look, these games are on Fox, and this particular one will be on FS1. And then you have Thursday. You have Chechnya plays South Korea or Korea, and that's at 5 o'clock in the morning. So it's right after the other game. They're playing in the Tokyo Dome, so you get one game in, all the fans leave or whatever, and then a new game comes in or whatever, and then you have 5 o'clock in the morning. Korea plays Chechnya. And then that night, you have Australia plays Czechia. Those are the first 3 games. Nothing that I will sit here and tell you is going to be the most eye-opening stuff you want to watch at all. But South Korea's got KBO guys, so they'll be more fun to watch. I did see that Team Japan is over there, and they're playing some of these practice games now, and they're playing Czechia and some of this stuff. And at one time, that game was 2-2. So they're at least playing a little bit competitive. Team Japan got beat by the ORX Bulls or whatever they call them of the Japanese league last night. So they're playing these games, and then it all really opens Friday. Friday at 5 a.m. Team Japan plays. They're going to play on FS1. And if you get a chance, don't miss Team Japan play. Because you really need to understand how good they are. That Team Japan is as good as any of these teams. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're close to as good as any team in the WBC. And they're going to play Chinese Taipei. But at 11 o'clock, you're going to get Cuba against Panama, and then Netherlands against Venezuela, and Mexico and Great Britain. And Team USA plays that day on Friday. They play Great Britain. It's 8 o'clock. It's on Fox, the big network, not FS1, FS2. They're going to play Great Britain, and this will be the only time if you want to see Tariq Skubal pitch. That's the only game he's going to pitch. So they're going to play there. And look, Great Britain, you'll recognize at least one of the players. Jazz Chisholm plays for that team. I don't know how he got on that team, but he's playing on that team. They do have a kid. His name's Henry Ford. He's a catcher that is a good player, and he's going to play for that team. And at one time, I don't think he's still there, but Aroldis Chapman was going to pitch as the closer for them, but I don't think that's happening. So anyway, all of this stuff is getting ready to happen, and the sequence of events that you got to understand is it's going to go bing, 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 and it's over. So the way it works is you're going to have the March 3rd we just talked about, or March 4th. It starts. Well, March 6th it kind of opens, and they got all these games. Well, they're pool play games. In each pool, there's 4 pools, 5 teams. Each team will play everybody round robin. So they get 4 games, all of them. And once those 4 games are over, 2 of those teams are going back to wherever they came from. And then 2 of them move on in a single elimination tournament. And by so that happens, I think the date on that is so by March the 11th, which is a week, pool play's over. And then you have the elimination tournament. By March 17th, it's all over. So your betting opportunities, you got to be really ready for them, and we'll go over them. And we'll make the bets, and we'll go day by day and have the games and do the stuff, and we'll do it all. But the reality is you're going to have opportunities, and these are really so when I think about this, I think about it this way. When we watched the gold medal hockey stuff, and we watched Team USA and Team Canada and I don't know, Team Finland or whoever else was there, Sweden and some of these other teams, that's the best hockey players in the world, and they're playing there. I get it, they're NHL guys, but they're playing on these teams, and the reality became that they're so fast, and the commitment level was so good, and the stuff they were trying to do, It's the best hockey games and the best hockey teams in the world. You couldn't watch an NHL game and get a better game. You couldn't, because the teams aren't matched up that way. So the WBC is exactly that. When you get to the end, when you get Team USA and Team Dominican Republic and Team Japan and Team Venezuela, there are no better teams. You can put the Dodgers out there all you want. They're not as good. So when you put these teams against each other, that's the best baseball in the world. There is no better. So when you're watching these games, understand that there is not a better baseball game you could ever watch amongst talented players than what you're going to see at the end of this tournament.
Well, myself and Scotty will figure out the rest of our schedule. It starts on Wednesday.
Well, let me address a couple betting things with this just real quick.
Okay.
I did in my Substack, I wrote a nice article. I posted it on Twitter. You can go back, you can look at my timeline and get it and read it. There's things you need to know about the WBC in terms of betting. It's not betting like you're going to bet, a Major League Baseball game. There's some oddities to it. And let me pull up my notes and my thing here so that I have it for you. And where did it go? Did I close it out? I'll get it real fast. So that it's all kind of right. Oh, that's what I did. So let me go over here. I'll get it real fast. Here we go. Let's open this up. So the first thing you got to understand about the WBC is there are rounds, and in the first round of the WBC, it's called the pool rounds. That's what we talked about, where the teams play each other to come out of these pools. Well, because it's spring training, the pitchers have pitch count rules. They are hard, fast rules. Other than if a guy hits his pitch count and he's in the middle of a batter, he can finish that batter, so he can go over by those pitches that he takes to get that guy out. But here's the pitch count rules. Okay, so first one is in the first round, which is pool play. The starting pitcher can only throw 65 pitches. Well, that's kind of normal ramp up right where they're at right now. Most of these guys have thrown. Most of them have thrown 40 pitches already in an outing. So they usually go up 15 to 20. So he's a pitcher can be at 65 pitches pretty healthy. Now, what does that mean? Well, at 15 pitches per inning, and that's the number you want to use in your head, that's 4 innings. So when you're handicapping the game, understand that your starting pitcher in the first round of these games is going to go 4 innings. So if you can find out what the strategy is for that team, who's going to pitch second, that's a bonus, because now you can handicap the next pitcher coming in, and that will be a very, very helpful thing for you. Now, having said that, the next round, which is called the quarterfinals, you can throw 80 pitches. So your starting pitcher that pitched 65 is probably going to be the next guy that goes out again. He can throw 80. In the finals, the final game, the semifinals and the championships, the pitch limit's 95. So there really isn't a pitch limit. These guys can go. Now I say this in a sense that I never thought it was that important. And then I looked up the WBC. You can bet the MVPs, and I'm sitting there going, okay, well, these have got to always be hitters. Well, of the 6 games tournaments they've had, 5 of the 6 have all been pitchers. I'm like, holy crap. It's all pitchers. Yamamoto won the one in 2023. And think about that. Yamamoto wins the World Baseball Classic MVP. He wins the World Series MVP. I mean, geez, these guys that's how good they are. Anyway. So you have that, but you also have a rest requirement. So your relief pitchers, you can't go out there and go hey, I need you to pitch every one of these games. So the rest requirements, pitchers who throw 50 plus pitches need 4 days rest. All right. Well, so if your starting pitcher, goes out and throws 60 pitches, he's not going to pitch again for at least 4 more days. So he's going to pitch the 5th day. And then you have lower thresholds, 30 pitches. They trigger shorter mandatory rest, usually 1 to 2 days. So they can't go back to back after they've thrown 30 pitches. So that means you're going to see, if a guy goes out and throws 10 pitches, he can go out and throw another 10 pitches the next time, but he's going to have to rest after that. So then you have the only other interesting rule is in Major League Baseball is trying to change some of this too. You can't have a position player pitch. It's not allowed. So they got 8 million pitchers. So you can't have. There's not going to be a shortstop go out there and pitch. That's illegal. All right. So then there's some different strategies involved here. So for example, Team USA has a ton of starting pitchers, and in contrast, Team Dominican Republic does not. So Team Dominican Republic's got like 4 starting pitchers. Well, they got a whole bunch of relief pitchers, so they're going to go binka, 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 binka with all these relief pitchers. Team USA is going to back-to-back starting pitchers. So you might have Tariq Skubal start a game, and then Nolan McLean come in and clean that up for 4 innings. Holy shit! And that's how they're going to do it. And then have a 1 or 2 inning situation for relief pitchers. That's a pretty good strategy, to be honest. But we'll see how that plays out and where that kind of goes. And it gets their guys work. Look, they got Michael Walker on this team. They got, now they got Ryan Yarbrough. But, they've got Clay Holmes on this team. Those aren't the mainline guys, but they're going to be the second guy in. So watch for how they plan to use these guys and use your strategies accordingly, because not all the teams will have that. They will have a starting pitcher and then a relief pitcher. When we're going to talk about that in just a second as a bonus here, betting situation. All right, so some nuances here. There's no pitch clock, which is interesting. All these guys are now all functioning on pitch clocks. There is no pitch clock. Second thing is infield shifts are allowed. There's no ban against infield shifts, so you can have guys all over the damn place like they used to have. You might see that. And then, they went to those great big-ass bases. Well, these are going to be regular bases, so you're going to have the regular bases. And in the extra innings, they use the ghost runner, just like they did, in Major League Baseball now. So couple other nuances. There's a thing that I call the bullpen cliff. And here's what you got to be really aware of. Most of these teams, now you got 3, and you want to call it maybe 4 super teams. And you got to know who they are. And that's pretty obvious. It's Team USA, it's Team Dominican Republic, it's Team Japan, and the third and probably fourth one is Team Venezuela. Those are super teams, meaning that every player is almost like an all-star player for those teams. Now, having said that, the rest of them aren't like that. There's 20 teams. 16 of these teams are not going to be major league all-stars everywhere. They're going to be minor league, major league level talent. There's going to be some major league level talent there. And then some of these teams are going to have guys that full-time job is, I'm the delivery man and I'm a plumber. And then they play baseball on part-time, and they're going to go out and play for their team, and they're going to play against these teams. So think about that conceptually. Who are you going to have as a starting pitcher? You're going to throw your best guy if you're one of those teams. My best guy is going to go, there you go. And I'm going to have whatever I have in the bullpen. They're whatever I got. They're not my best pitchers, but I got to get through these games. So I got this guy. He throws 95. I might as well throw him out there. So you're going to have a severe drop-off from starting pitcher to bullpen on all these teams except for those four. So when you think about Major League Baseball often has great bullpens and not necessarily great starting pitchers. The Cubs are kind of that way. So now you have a vice versa of that. So handicapping wise, these games are going to not stagnate. They're going to go explode in terms of offense as these bullpen guys come in. So you're going to be able to look at overs. You're going to be able to be careful on first five type stuff, because it's the back half of these games that are going to blow up, not 100% the first half, because the best pitchers are going to pitch in the beginning part of the game. And always keep in mind that, especially this time of year, pitchers are ahead of hitters. Hitters don't have their timing down. They haven't seen enough at-bats. Timing's not right. So pitchers have the edge. But as that bullpen starts to come in and these guys don't throw as hard and the ball doesn't move as much, they get shelled. And that's going to happen, and you'll see that. So I call that the bullpen cliff, where these guys just start to fall off the cliff, and my God, it's the most crazy. It's what happens. So then you have, I call it the early season rust, where pitchers are ahead of hitters. You just keep that in mind as you go. It usually takes 75 to 100 live at bats for a hitter to be adjusted to timing. And none of them are near that at this point. I mean, you can go look it up on the games, and you can see the stats that these guys haven't had hundreds of at bats. And most of the guys, the most at bats a guy normally gets in spring training is 75 to 100 at bats. So they're not but they're good hitters, so they'll adjust and theoretically do okay. But the pitchers are ahead. Run scoring and run lines and mismatches. So Team USA plays Great Britain or Brazil or whoever it is in the first game. Tariq Skubal is going to pitch a bunch of guys that deliver the mail. So they're going to be minus 600 on the money line, some crazy number like that. They will be. I mean, you got the Cy Young for the American League pitching against guys that play in a softball league. Anyway, it's going to be a crazy number. So how do you bet games like that? Well, here's the reality. I went back and I looked it up, and I've been done a lot of research on runs scored in these games, and the average is like 9 runs a game, 9.5 runs a game in these games. There's more scoring because the pitching's terrible. So when a big favorite is playing a team like this, the average score is 7-1, where the big favorite crushes them. So don't be afraid of the run line. I'm just going to tell you right off the bat, don't be afraid of the run line, and we'll see what it looks like. You might see a minus 1.5 run line, minus 350. Well, if that's the best odds you can get, you're going to have to bet that. But if you can get minus 2.5, minus 150, bet that. Bet them that they're going to cover that number, because in most cases they do. In my notes, I have Team USA. Here we go. Team USA in 2023, when they were big favorites against Great Britain, they won 6-2. When they played Canada, they won 12-1. They played Colombia, which was a tougher match. They won 3-2. The average was 7 runs to 1.7 runs. South Korea beat China in that 22-2. Canada beat Great Britain 18-8. These games can get out of hand, and they do. And there is a mercy rule, and the mercy rule is where is the mercy rule? I guess it doesn't 100% matter, but it's like it's like if they're ahead by 15 runs after 7 innings, they cancel the game, and if they're ahead by 10 after 8 innings or something, they cancel the game. It's something like that. So there's a mercy rule. You don't need to know about the mercy rule so much as it'll help you as betting favorites, because if you're betting favorites and trying to cover the game, the mercy rule means your team's way the hell ahead, and they don't even have to finish the game. So that part's good. And then there's 2 other spots here you got to be aware of. You need to be aware of the Japanese league, the Asian league. It's called the PCL or the NPB, and the KBO for that matter, but the NPB more so. Those guys are already gearing up. Those guys have already been working in camps. Their preseason games have already been happening. Their pitchers are stretched out, man, unless they're MLB guys, meaning that they can the pitch count of 65, they can already throw 90. The quality of pitches that they're going to have are already better. The timing of the hitters, they've already seen a lot of at-bats. They're already good, unless they're MLB guys. Team Japan's got a lot of MLB guys. So these MLB guys are behind where those guys are already at. So one sort of quirk is that it might be a little unfair, but the Japanese players, just because of start time and prepared time, they're ahead of all the rest of the teams. So a lot of times the reason that they're so good is they're already ready to go, and all these other teams are kind of breaking in and making it happen. So keep that in mind. And it's more important to kind of keep in mind that there are players that play in the Japanese league who are prepared that you might not know about. Meaning, Team Cuba, for example, their ace pitcher was like, I don't know, 18-3 for a team in Japan last year. And he's ready to go. So Cuba has a big advantage with that pitcher being ready to go from day one, when all these other guys are still ramping up to 65 to 85, whatever pitch counts and all the other crap that's going on. So there is an edge to that, and you can bet that edge if you find a spot to use it. So keep that in mind as you're kind of looking at those things. And the last one is the top 2 teams advance from these pools. And you need to know the tiebreaker rules for these teams advancing, because it used to be at the beginning when these things first started, it used to be run differential, right? So that just meant that if you needed to win, my God, you needed to win by 100. So they were going to go out and score as many runs as they could. And if you're a bettor, you're like, well, shit, this team needs to score 100 runs. I want to bet on them. Doesn't work that way anymore. The way it works now is the team that gave up the fewest runs moves forward. It's the weirdest thing, right? They have head-to-head, and then if they're tied after head-to-head, it's the team that gave up the fewest runs. So think about that as a betting angle. And it might happen in, say, Pool A. Pool A, you have Canada, and you have Cuba, and you have Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico and Cuba are very similar. Canada is a more offensive team and more depth in pitching. So maybe they're going to have a philosophy that, I don't want to give up any damn runs. So I'm going to use my best pitchers and my best relief pitchers and my best things and blah, 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 blah all the time. So you might be able to get an edge on the idea that these teams are going to realize that there's going to be ties for these top 2 teams to move forward, and they're going to try to achieve a tiebreaker scenario where they can move ahead. As a bettor, you need to know where your edges are and what the edges kind of come out to be. What I'm trying to show you is know the nuances of the game, because that's different than Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball doesn't care how many runs they give up or how many runs the other team scores, as long as they win. Well, Baseball Classic is going to be a little different. Major League Baseball, doesn't have pitch count rules. They're not going to throw their guys out there to get hurt. But at the same time, this is all, I don't want to call it exhibition baseball, because if you watch it, it's not exhibition baseball. It might have been at the beginning, but it's not now. These are guys that are playing intense baseball at the highest level they can possibly play at the time that they're playing them. Maybe if it was mid-May or mid-April or something like that, or mid-June, where they played, 50 games and they've got a lot under their belt already, they might see a better brand of baseball. But this will be the best baseball you've seen. This will be the most intense baseball that you have. And I will just say it this way. Even the games with South Korea playing whoever, the Chinese Taipei, you're going to see, 5'6" guys that weigh 155 pounds out there playing baseball and hit the ball all over the place. But you're going to see quality games. And you're not going to see guys go out there and strike out every at-bat. That's not going to happen. You're going to see quality baseball. You'll see great athleticism, and it'll be fun to watch. Every single game is on TV. Every single one. So it's just a matter of you finding the channel that it's on. It's kind of like the Olympics and all that stuff when they put them, Fox and FS1 and FS2 and whatever other brands that they carry. They're all on TV. So if you want to watch them, watch them. I will tell you this. You can get a preempt of this, not today, but tomorrow. Every one of these teams, WBC teams, is playing a Major League Baseball team in a spring training game. Every one of them. And Team USA is playing tomorrow at 3:00 against the San Francisco Giants on ESPN if you want to watch Team USA play. Anyway, I'm excited. I'm happy to share. I want questions, guys. I want this to be a very interactive thing. Join my Substack, ask questions there. I'm going to try to help walk people through a lot of stuff. I did a sample exercise on a game with my AI yesterday. I want to share some of what that looks like with you so that you understand the depth in which these analysis is going to come. So anyway, point being is there's a lot coming in baseball, and I will assure you, between Jeff and I, and Jeff's approach and my approach, as long as our delivery is right and your questions are going to be super important when it comes to this, and the interaction is going to be important with this, you will not get a better baseball program the rest of the season. I guarantee you the information we will deliver, the way we deliver it, or how you want it delivered, you won't get a better show to follow for baseball than Jeff and myself. You just won't. Anyway, there's my thing. Hopefully that helps with the WBC and gets you ready to bet the game.
The scroller's been going the whole time, guys. I've added this so you have no excuses now. Everyone knows go follow Scotty at Webby20MLB on X, substack.com /@Webby20MLB. Go join. It's free. Guys, it's free. 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 Now, you can obviously pledge support and throw them some tips. That's all well and good, but what our approach is simple. What Scotty just said is simple. Our plan with Scotty and his work, his Webby odds, the way he analyzes it, breaks down each game, and the way I read the market, there's going to be zero chance no one's better. No. Baseball, 162 games, marathon, highs and lows. We get all that, okay? But it's not just who's hot on Twitter, who's hot on X, who's your favorite check mark. Well, I heard him on Fox Sports. Well, this guy used to play, and blah, 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 blah. That's all it is. It's called noise pollution, okay? And you want to get caught in the trap? Well, shame on you. It all starts here in the WBC. This is our 11th year here at ECSI. Me and Scotty have been doing shows for a long, long time. Yeah, we both had a lot more here, and it wasn't great. I could send some pictures out there into the Twitter sphere where you'd be like, damn, okay, now I see it. But we love baseball. We eat, sleep, drink, shit baseball. Okay? You guys know my story. I am in a 10-mile radius of 3 Cape Cod Baseball League teams. That's where I live all summer. I do my work, I turn the grill on, and I'm at a Cape League game. Unless I'm here at Fenway Park. So, again, I can't thank you guys enough. Make sure you go follow Scotty. Make sure you sign up for his free Substack. And we're going to be here throughout the tournament, and which is going to bring us right to the start of the major leagues. From myself, Jeff Dawson at DC Sports Investor, one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. Wish everyone a blessed day. It's a new week. It's a new beginning. It's a new start. Damn, it's a new month. Behave yourselves. Have some fun and stay tuned.